What is the greatest gift you can give? Hi, I'm Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this is On the Wings of Your Mind. So here we are at the end of the year, and thoughts turn to holiday gift giving. So my question is, what is the greatest gift you can give to the most important person in your life? You. What's the greatest gift you can give? The greatest gift is self-acceptance and love. You know, most of us claim that we want successful lives. Of course, successful means different things to different people. But for the most part, I would say successful generally means having enough money to pay your bills easily, living in a home that is comfortable and safe, enjoying the things that entertain yourself and relax, and to have a relationship that is comfortable, loving, peaceful, and content. We say that we want these things. We say that we want these things. But at the same time, we do things to sabotage ourselves from actually having those things. Why is that? Well, most of us will deny that we harbor some deep-seated hatred of ourselves. But if we take a good look at our lives, we can spot it. We do have some hatred of ourselves. We look back at our lives, and instead of seeing the positive things that we've done, on the most part, the accomplishments we've achieved, the progress that we've made, we instead, most of us, see the mistakes that we've made. We see the opportunities we lost. We see the missteps that we have experienced. And so when we share our lives with people and talk about it, we usually talk about the bad things. That jumped out at me a little while ago when I was looking at the New York Times bestseller list. And on that list was a book by the Grammy Award-winning platinum-selling musician named Halsey. The name of the book was what caught me, and the name of the book was I Would Leave Myself If I Could. I would leave myself if I could. In this book of poetry, Halsey shares some of her deep pain that she has gone through because of her bipolar disorder. But you know what? Most of us don't have a bipolar disorder. Most of us don't have a mental illness to suffer through in order to hate our own company. The very ordeal of living and our reactions to what we've gone through can be enough for us to wish that we could live somebody else's life. If we could, we would leave ourselves behind. Please click on the thumbs up button below, and if you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. And I would love to hear your thoughts, comments, and suggestions, so please use the chat box on the right side of the screen or the comment section below. You can remember you can replay this at any time because it's right here on YouTube. So back to the question at hand. What is the greatest gift? Well, it's understandable that living with a condition like bipolar disorder can make you pessimistic about life and about the future. But most of us don't have, as I said, don't have a bipolar disorder. Our self-sabotage is not a result of some chemical imbalance. Our self-sabotage is a result of being conditioned by a society that loves to destroy our self-image. It's a money-making proposition. We are surrounded by messages, thousands of messages every day that highlight our flaws in order to sell us products. So we're made hyper-aware of our shortcomings, and we're convinced that we can be fixed by something outside of ourselves. We can improve our bodies through exercise on this big new bike with a screen in front of it that talks to us. We can remove our wrinkles. We can regrow our hair. We can whiten our teeth. We can get smarter by the right application, by using the right apps on our smartphone. The trouble is, even if those products actually do deliver on their promises, even if they work, they fail to do anything about the underlying problems of how we feel about ourselves. They don't touch that. Many years ago, Dr. Maxwell Maltz, a successful plastic surgeon, discovered that when he performed cosmetic surgery to improve physical flaws in people, it often did not change the way the patients felt about themselves. They fixed the nose and the be prettier, much prettier than before, but it still didn't help them think that they were ugly. It didn't help them stop thinking they were ugly. So Dr. Maltz wrote a book. He called it Psycho-Cybernetics, to show people how to overcome their own self-critical tendencies. His book has since been completely updated to Psycho-Cybernetics 2000. But the point is, while Psycho-Cybernetics provides many insights and techniques for overcoming the damage that we've done to ourselves and the way we hold ourselves back from moving forward, one thing that sticks out for me that is the most powerful tool, and that is forgiveness. I know we've all heard it before. Forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. I've said it here many times. Forgiveness is critical. Forgiveness now has been repeated so many times by me and by media, by television shows, by movies, by books, that it's become part of a background noise, and so really has no impact. But that does not diminish its power. It does not diminish its importance. Forgiveness has to be a necessary element in our lives. Forgiveness has to be a necessary element in our lives. But one of the things that I've noticed in this frenetic atmosphere of promoting forgiveness is that forgiveness is always directed outwards. Always directed outwards to those around us, to people who have hurt us. We are admonished to forgive those who have hurt us. We're told to forgive those who have offended us. We are expected to forgive those who have disrespected us. But what is not acknowledged is that the fact is that we need to forgive ourselves. We need to forgive ourselves. Yes, other people may have harmed us, offended us, disrespected us, but we have also harmed ourselves. We have hidden shame and guilt about things from as far back as our childhood, as evidenced in the book by John Bradshaw called Healing the Shame That Binds Us. There are things that you've done that nobody knows about, but you do. There are things you've never shared with anybody else, but inside you know about it, and they act like anchors on a boat. They hold you in place. They grab hold of the past, and they will not allow you to move forward into open waters, into wider horizons, into greater opportunities. They keep you stuck. You know you have the talent, but somehow it never really expresses itself. You know you have the ability, the skill, but somehow you never get the opportunity to show it. You know you have what it takes, but the door is always getting slammed in your face. Believe it or not, you might be the one that's slamming the door. You might be the one that is slamming the door in your own face. So open that door and forgive yourself. The one that is holding that door closed against you is you. Deep inside, it is you. So forgive yourself. As I have listened to many stories of outrage and pain over the injustices that have inflicted by one person on another or one group upon another, I have discovered that the one who has been injured, the one has been hurt, the one who has been offended quite often bears malice against himself or herself. They judge themselves for their involvement in the event. They say to themselves, it was my own fault. How could I have let them get away with that? How could have I let myself be treated like that? How could I have not seen that coming? How could I have allowed myself to stay in that situation? The self-blaming, the self-shaming, and the self-destructive judgment can go on and on and on and take many forms. But the bottom line is that when we are injured or insulted or taken advantage of by someone else, we often blame ourselves for it as much as we blame the other person. And then to make matters worse, we punish ourselves for it. And that takes the injury to a whole other level. So now we've got a double whammy: the original pain inflicted by someone else and the added on pain inflicted by ourselves on ourselves. So we need to learn to forgive ourselves before we can even think about forgiving someone outside of ourselves. Unforgiveness is the gift that keeps on giving. Unforgiveness against ourselves appears in the form of shame or guilt or anger or resentment or judgmental attitudes or fear. All of those create or perpetuate chronic stress. Chronic stress. Chronic stress can lead to high blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, nerve diseases, digestive diseases, psychological disorders, and a large percentage of cancer patients have unforgiveness issues. So let me direct your attention to the words of Eleanor Roosevelt, the wife of the 32nd President of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Eleanor Roosevelt said, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." So right now, right here, right now, I'd like you to do something for me. I'd like you to step in front of a mirror and say to yourself, "Permission denied." That's right, permission denied. Tell yourself you no longer have permission to make me feel inferior. You no longer have permission to make me feel inferior. You are too important. You're too important to mistreat yourself like that. You're too vulnerable, too valuable. You're too valuable to the world to mistreat yourself like that. So you did something that you're not proud of. Forgive yourself. So you did something then that you would not do today. You wouldn't do it today because you know better. You know better. So forgive yourself. Maya Angelou, the famous author and poet, puts it very succinctly. She says, "Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before you learned it." Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before you learned it. Amen, Ms. Maya. Amen. Life is a process of trial and error. You learn from your mistakes. That's how we progress. But you can't progress if you hold on to every mistake. You need to let it go. So how do you accomplish this act of forgiving yourself? Well, there are a number of techniques, but let me share just one with you. First of all, get into a comfortable position so that you can relax. Allow your body to let go. Let go of its job of trying to keep you safe. Allow your body to let go and relax. After you have relaxed, remind yourself of the serenity prayer. The serenity prayer says, "Infinite intelligence, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference." Saying this prayer sets your mind up to approach the issue with some emotional detachment. Emotional detachment is critical in this case because if you get caught up in the emotion of the memory, because you can get caught up, it puts you right back into that moment of pain, right back into it, and locks you in even further. Now you've relaxed. The next step is imagine yourself rising above a long railroad track. And as you look over the track in one direction, you can see stations along the route. Well, in both directions you see stations along the route. And you look in one direction, the stations are kind of fuzzy. But when you look in the other directions, there's some clarity. You can see these stations more clearly. That is the past. Those are the past events in your life. And as you look back over the past events in your life, feel yourself rising up and looking, moving back, drifting over the past events in your life. You notice some of them are brighter and prettier than others, but some, on the other hand, are darker and uglier. One or two may show up in a dark red or dark green mixed with waves of unsettling color mixed in. These are the spots that you need forgiving. Allow yourself to float over these spots. Watch what's happening in them, and as you're watching, as if you're watching a movie. Remember, you want to stay detached from the action, so you're watching from a distance. And as you watch this movie, don't put yourself in the place. Look as if the people in the movie that you're watching are not you. You are in the audience. This is not you. Watch the mistakes that are being made. Watch the miscommunications that happen. Watch the unrealistic expectations that were put into effect. And while you watch this, notice how one thing led to another, and you notice what happens in this is that you will begin to see what role fear had to play in it. Fear had to play. Fear of rejection, fear of being left out, fear of being passed over. Those are the things that upset you so badly and made you make those mistakes because of fear. So remember to maintain your detachment as you watch this as the observer. And now as you watch it as the observer, allow the emotions to drain from it. Allow the color to fade away from the events, like an old black and white movie. Drain the emotion. Look at it and see the mistakes, see the fear, and allow the emotion to drain, because now you know better. You can see what was happening, and you can see the misunderstanding, and it's not as big a deal as it seemed to be at the time. Drain the emotion from the picture. And as you drain the emotion from the picture, repeat the words, I forgive myself. I forgive myself. I now know that I was doing the best I could at the time, and I forgive myself. I let myself off the hook because I have learned the lesson that was there for me, and I now know better. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. And I now accept the peace that passes understanding, because I know that I am loved and protected and forgiven by infinite intelligence expressing in me as me. I am forgiven. You see, by forgiving yourself, you give yourself power. You give yourself the strength to forgive others, because you now know that their actions did not diminish you. Forgiving yourself replaces you, returns you to a state of wholeness, fullness, that only you can diminish. Nobody else can diminish you. Only you can. Remember what Eleanor Roosevelt said. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent, and you are no longer giving consent to anyone, not even your understanding of ourselves and our relationship to life and infinite intelligence. Thank you for showing us who we really are. We open our minds and hearts to the truth of our being. We are the children of God. We are individualized expressions of infinite intelligence. And because we are part of the greater whole, we are beginning to understand our value to the continuity of life on this planet. As we become channels of your power, infinite intelligence, we can feel your power, your presence within ourselves and within our lives more and more. We know that as we feel your presence within our lives every day, we will rise, because we are no longer cut off from you, by being immersed in the darkness of fear, anger, and the pain of unforgiveness. So we are now restoring our connection through the grace of forgiveness, knowing that as we learn to forgive ourselves for the pain we have caused to ourselves, and as we learn to forgive those who have inflicted pain upon us, our connections will grow stronger, and our lives will grow happier and healthier and more prosperous. And for this we are truly grateful. As above, so below. As within, so without. And so it is. Amen. Thank you for watching. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to click on the thumbs up button below. If you haven't already done so, please choose to subscribe. You can click on the logo in the lower right-hand side of the screen. I'd love to hear your thoughts, comments, suggestions. So please use the comment section below the video. In the meantime, I'd love for you to have a great day. Remember, I am Reverend Andrew Bozeman, and this is on the wings of your mind.